Hi there, I'm Corey, and the career that I chose to do is a family advocate. This is actually what I'm planning on doing with my major now. And what I'm hoping to do, well, for this summer, I'm hoping to go work with Habitat for Humanity. And what I will be doing with them is I'll be one of the family advocates. So I go out, um, families will turn in applications to Habitat for Humanity. I go to the homes, I assess, the living conditions and what's going on with the family, and then Habitat for Humanity will build them a new home or provide counseling or things like that for the family, free of charge. It's nonprofit, so um, that'll be one thing you can do with family advocacy. Is basically you're just protecting families, you're protecting children, and you're finding ways to get them the resources that they need to be healthy. A family advocate, let me grab my paper. So another example, that was one example of an organization, but one example of one that you can actually get paid in would be Head Start Family Services. And they have all sorts of things that you can do. They have community classes that are free to the public that teach about, proper nutrition for children, what pregnant women should or shouldn't do, healthy relationships between the individuals in a family, all sorts of things. They do a lot of things that are free to the public so that it influences more people. I think Head Start Family Services also has programs that help families that are struggling, abuse victims, things like that. You can find them resources to, sometimes there's safe houses and things like that. My career contacts, Brother Rarick at BYU Idaho is super huge in the family advocacy world. He goes to the United Nations every year and he speaks at a ton of conferences, and I talked with him for about 2 hours last semester, so I based a lot of this off our conversation a couple weeks ago. But I've also been emailing back and forth with my family advocacy teacher, Sister Meeker. Some of you may have taken her class. She's really awesome. And she helped give me insight on some things that Brother Rarick didn't cover when I had my conversation with him. The working environment, it kind of varies a lot depending on which company you're with, or organization that you're with. A lot of work, you can be lobbying. That's partially one of the routes that I'm really interested in. I think actually one of the main routes I'm interested in is where you work with congressmen and you work with legislators and you trying to define and find laws that will help the family. And if there's a law that could be harmful to the family environment or to children, you lobby and you try and protect those children's rights and those family rights. So that environment obviously will be a lot different than the person who's teaching community classes to the public. And then some you're working with social work agencies, there's all manner of things that you can do depending on which organization you go for. Each family advocacy organization they do different things. It depends on their brand of family they're trying to defend, whether they're trying to protect them from poverty or protect them from laws or help them get healthier environments, things like that. A typical stressor is that you see a lot of families just living in desolation, or you see children whose parents don't care at all, and if they're not willing to be helped, you can't force it on them. So that can be a typical stressor, as you see people that you really want to help, but you just have to walk away because they won't let you. Another one is, seeing the children. If the parents don't allow you to intervene, then, what can you do? You can't force them to come to classes. You can't force them to change the way they live. Another stressor is that because a majority of the organizations are nonprofit, your hours typically don't match your pay. So You work really long hours, and a lot of them are pretty much volunteer because your pay is really, really low. Most starting places have you be a volunteer for a while before you become paid because they're nonprofit. Um, and because they're nonprofit, a lot of the money they get goes back into the families. It's not to help you. So you just kind of have to wrap your head around that. And typical benefits, for the most part, like I said, your hours aren't paid, but there's not only the benefit of knowing that you're doing the Lord's work, you're just helping families, you're building family units, you're helping children that can't help themselves, but a lot of times as well, your work may be not being paid as much, but they typically will. If you are working with organizations that have you go to conferences or go to different places, they typically pay for your plane tickets, for your hotel, and travel expenses, things like that. I know Brother Rarick says that he flies out to conferences a couple times a year and people invite him to speak, and they fly him out there, they pay for everything for him, but all the hours he spends writing and the hours he spends, at the conference, which typically are well over 24 hours straight, he doesn't get paid for anything like that, but they did pay for him to come out there. So there's things like that. And common job tasks, I've kind of already covered those. It depends on your organization and what area you want to go into, but you could do anything from lesson plans for the public classes. You can do talking with families and helping them match resources. Based on which organization you apply for, you kind of do the job that's needed. Educational requirements, a lot of them require bachelor degrees in like child development or family services, or a lot of them for the law require some sort of communication major or law studies or social work, but a lot of them accept volunteers that just have high school diplomas. And so starting salary, since most of them require you start out as a volunteer, is $0, but experience salary you can, I think on average was $25,000 a year. And again, that's largely non-profit organizations that run this, so that's why it's not as high, which is fine with me. Miscellaneous career information. Different jobs have different pays, and information source, like I said, Brother Rarick, who's huge in the family advocacy industry, and Sister Meeker, who's helped a lot, and she teaches that at BYU Idaho. So that is my career choice. That's what I'm hoping to go into, and I chose it because I wanted to do something that had an immense social impact, that had a religious meaning for me, something that I am wicked passionate about, and I really, really, really love it. I haven't given up, and I really love family advocacy. And the pay doesn't bother me as much because you don't bring money with you to the next world. So we'll learn to make with what we have, and I'm grateful for this class and for all the things I've got to learn from it. So that's my career.